Hi, Local 5. I'm going to be doing a video today. I know you're usually used to seeing Dave. You'll be seeing me tonight because I'm going to be talking about some of the specifics of the application we've been using, MiniVan, and some of the hiccups that we're working through right now and how we can try to eliminate those in the future just by giving you a little bit more information on how the app works and how to best enter data. But before I get into that, I want to take an opportunity to talk about our campaign as a whole and how we're doing. First of all, in the last couple weekends, we've been getting 50, 60 plus people who've been showing up to our campaign walk events, and we are extremely pleased with this. If we could get 50 to 60 people to show up in a 3-day span for every week until the campaign was done, we would be happy. So, first of all, thank you to all of those who have gone out so far. This is a huge aspect of our campaign. We've talked about it time and time again about how important it is to walk door to door, and we're seeing the type of turnout that we're looking for. And the biggest thing right now is sustaining that turnout. So I'll talk about that in a minute, but I want to talk about the campaign as a whole and some of the stuff that's going on behind the scenes that some of you might not know about. So we talk all the time about knocking doors and how important it is. And as somebody who maybe hasn't seen an advertisement online, who hasn't received a piece of mail yet, the perception might be that all we're doing is knocking doors. All we're doing is knocking doors to try to win this campaign. In reality, this couldn't be farther from the truth. There's a lot of things that are going into this campaign right now, in addition to knocking doors. Knocking doors is the most important part, and I'll talk about why in a second, but there's a lot of stuff that you may or may not be seeing that I want to explain that's going on, just to kind of give you a sense of what's going on and also maybe to ease your mind about some of the efforts that are happening behind the scenes from your campaign team. So first of all, social media presence. A lot of you have probably seen an increased social media presence lately. We've gone through somewhat of a rebranding. Our page is now called Colorado Springs Firefighters, and our campaign has been heavily advertised as well, Firefighters for a Safer Colorado Springs. Many of you have seen advertisements, new posts, article shares, but what a lot of you probably don't know is, for this entire campaign, we have what's called a universe. And basically, we have an online database, which is the voter file, and we can pull up all of the voters in Colorado Springs and then narrow our list down to certain types of voters. So on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, as a matter of fact, we're using targeted lists on Facebook to target specific households. So we're paying at a premium to advertise to people who might support us or already support us. So it could be our base group of voters, people who support us and vote frequently. It could be a persuadable voter, a moderate Republican who votes frequently who we need to come to our side. Or it could be somebody who supports us but doesn't always vote. These are called get out the vote type people. These are the people we're trying to convince to vote for us in April, to return their ballot in favor of us. Every single week, we are sending out paid premium advertisements to this group of people. So we make a list, a universe, if you will. We pay Facebook a premium amount to target this specific list. It's that sophisticated. We're not wasting our money on advertising to people we don't want to advertise to. So there's that. Another thing that we're doing is online banner ads. So a lot of you have probably logged on to HomeDepot.com or Lowe's.com or Target and seen banner ads off to the side or at the top of the website. We are at this time targeting online ads as well. So this is another instance where we're using that field universe, that targeted universe, to pay an outside company to target specific households, specific computers. So again, we're not wasting our votes. We're not wasting our time on people who might not vote for us. Finally, we have an extremely robust mail plan. And what this includes is a different amount of mail for what type of people we're targeting. So for instance, our base group of voters, typically Democratic, and vote frequently. These people are going to get 3 pieces of mail in between the middle of February and the election. Our Get Out the Vote people, GOTV, again, the people who support us but need a little extra nudge to return their ballot. These people are going to get 3 pieces of mail between the middle of February and April. Our persuadable people, typically moderate Republicans, they're going to get 6 pieces of mail to really drive home the fact that we need their support. We need them to support firefighters. So this is strategic. We pick specific addresses with specific types of people, much like we do with our canvassing efforts. It's actually the same list, and we hit them again. We hit them with mail, we hit them with online ads, we hit them with social media. The idea, and this is a common marketing principle, is that people need 7 contacts or more to drive home the idea that they need to support something. So you might go knock on somebody's door. That's 1 contact. We want to get them to 7. That's why we're spending so much time on social media, online advertising, and mail. And this is all going on behind the scenes. We have a conference call every single week. We've got a team of people who are regularly looking at our online advertising, regularly looking at social media. We have resources from the IFF who have developed our mail plan, who are going to print our mail plan. We also have some stuff in our back pocket as well of supporters who are willing to write op-eds to local media outlets in support of us. So this is all part of a strategic plan. We have timed dates for when we want certain things to drop. We might have a specific date for when we want an op-ed of support to drop. We might have a specific date for when we want a piece of mail to drop. So this is a grand plan, something that's ever evolving, something that requires a lot of work, and something that's happening on a daily basis from your campaign team. So, to take a sidestep back to talking about canvassing, hitting the doors, why is it so important? Well, first of all, it's important because of all of the different mediums, I should say, of how we're contacting people. There's nothing more powerful, there's nothing more lasting, there's nothing that makes a greater impression than personally talking to people at the doors. Okay? All of the stuff that we're doing, sending mail, targeting people on social media, costs a lot of money. Canvassing is a volunteer effort. So it's not expensive, but the impact that it makes is priceless. I would venture to guess that if we did all the stuff that we're doing on the side, online advertising, social media, mailers, if we did just that and no canvassing, we would lose. If we did just a canvassing effort and no mail, no online advertising, no social media, if we hit enough doors, I honestly think we could still win. So canvassing is huge. It's the most important thing that we can possibly do. It makes the most impact. It's the most cost effective. And as firefighters, we have access to people in a way that nobody else does. And a lot of you have already seen this already. A lot of people are reluctant to get out and hit the doors because their impression is that people might not be favorable. They're going to slam the door in our face. Very rarely does that happen. I would say right now, about 90% of the people that we interact with, it's a favorable interaction. So that apprehension that any of you may have about getting out and walking, you'll soon notice if you do a shift that's not the case. And for those of you who have already done shifts, you know this to be true. Most people are very supportive of us. We have outliers, of course, but the general public is very supportive. So with that in mind, we've been doing great lately with hitting doors. We've been getting 50 or 60 people a weekend among 3 different days. If we could keep that pace, we'd be golden. And we're, as a campaign team, extremely proud of the turnout that we've been getting. I think as far as membership participation, over a span of multiple weeks, this is probably some of the most participation we've had for a single cause in a long, long time. So first of all, thank you to all the people who have been doing it. The biggest thing is sustaining that effort. And that's why we've been posting stuff on Facebook. We've been sending out texts, email reminders, because we genuinely need to make this impact. We need to hit the doors. The reality is that the opposition has a lot of money. They can spend a lot of money on social media in a way we can't. They can spend a lot of money on online advertising in a way that we can't. And they can spend a lot of money on mail in a way that we can't. But what they can't do is walk up to a door, say, I'm not selling anything. I'm a local firefighter, and I wanted to tell you about our issue. They don't have that access. They don't have the impact that we have. So if we can sustain this effort, we'll be golden. And that's why you're going to continue to see reminders. What I will say is for the people who have gone out already, we have a core group of people who have already gone out. First of all, thank you very much for your time. Second of all, we know you're going to continue to walk. That's the type of people that you are, and we really appreciate it. What we will say is you know what it's like now. You're a veteran of canvassing, if you will. So the request from us would be continue to walk, but also continue to encourage those around you to walk as well. For those who haven't walked yet, if you have apprehension about talking to residents, first of all, like I said, you'll probably find that that's not the case the majority of the time. Most people love us. But second of all, to ease your apprehension, what I will say is when you go and walk for the first time, find somebody who's done it, ask them to show you the ropes. They can do the first couple of doors. You can remain in a pair for the day, and you can ease your way into it. It doesn't have to be something that's uncomfortable the entire time. There's people who have done this enough now that we have a core group of people that can really show you the ropes. So please, if you haven't walked yet, consider walking. We've talked about this before. We don't want this to be an effort on a small group of people. We want this to be what we are, a union, a group of people who can get out together for a very important cause that's going to benefit all of us, and each person do their part. So please consider signing up if you haven't already. If you've already signed up, thank you for doing so. Continue to do so and try to encourage others. All right, so now I'm going to get into the actual training portion of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the MiniVan app today. For those of you who have already gotten out and used it, you know how it works. I just want to hit on some of the finer points to make sure that we're doing things correctly. So, at the beginning of your shift, a shift lead will get you logged on to the MiniVan app and they'll give you a specific list. So that part shouldn't be very difficult. But what I will say is pretty quickly you'll be able to determine whether your list is going to be easy to walk or not very easy to walk. We do our best when we're cutting these turfs to try to make lists that are easy to walk right off the bat. Unfortunately, sometimes these lists, we just can't make them as easy as we'd like. Sometimes we have flag lots. Sometimes we have houses that are pretty far in between. So the first thing I'll say is when you look at your list, if you determine that it's going to be a list that's not easily walkable, call up your shift lead and let them know. Because what we can do is if we have a group that has an easier walkable list, once they're done, we can send help your way. So don't hesitate to ask for help. These should be 3-hour shifts. We're not asking you to stay for 5 or 6 hours. So if you need help, just let us know early on. If you've got a lot of flag lots, you've got a ton of space in between houses, let us know. Secondly, when you go to log onto your app, it'll look something like this. Okay, I don't know if that's a great view there. See if I can't pull that back a little bit. Regardless, it'll look something like this. You're going to have a menu option on the left-hand side, and you're going to be able to select your map. So I don't know if you can all see that. Got my map there. Okay, as I'm going to each individual household, what we've been seeing when we've analyzed the data at the end of this is some lists, they'll come back, they're 100% complete. Other lists, they'll come back and they're 30% complete. Now, we on this side of the table, we have no reservations that people are going out and doing their entire 3-hour shift. We honestly would not think that anybody would do only 30% of their list. What we think is probably happening is people aren't logging their data for every single house. So perhaps we've given the impression that you only have to log your responses if you actually talk to somebody. What we will say is the best way that we can retrieve data on our end is if you log every single house. So if you talk to somebody who's home, log their yes response as favorable or unfavorable. If somebody isn't home, still take the time to click no and report that they weren't home. So for instance, if I click on an individual house, what I should see when I pull up the house is the name of who lives there, and then I'll get something like this. The first thing it'll ask you is, are you able to contact this person? And it'll have a little slide right here. If I click that, no, it'll log that response. It'll say not home, refused, not accessible. Take the time to actually log this. This is still data on our end. We still count it as a door that was hit towards our end goal. Another thing too, we've had this already, no soliciting signs. If there's a no soliciting sign, you can leave a piece of literature, but you don't have to talk to these people. We're not encouraging people to have inflammatory conversations. We don't want people getting mad that somebody said no soliciting and we still went up. So just try to avoid that. I still occasionally will put something on their door, but I won't ring the doorbell. I won't talk to them. But even if it's no soliciting, take the time to log that house and put refused or not home. So that data entry portion is huge for us. Just making sure that you're logging every individual house and every individual response. Okay, so take the time to do that. Another thing that we're seeing right now is sometimes we get an error message. So it'll look something like this. If I can get it to focus, it'll say failed sync. This happens for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes you're in a bad service area. Other times your phone is just crapping out on you. The first thing that I would say to try to remedy this is put it in airplane mode real quick on your phone. Let it do its thing for a couple seconds. Take it out of airplane mode. Restart that cellular data. Sometimes that'll allow you to sync again. Sometimes if you're in a bad service area, you just can't sync at all. So the recommendation would be keep the app open, keep your list loaded, wait till you get it to a better service area, and then try to refresh and sync it. Syncing data. There's our little turn wheel on the side every time we go to a house. So let me show you this. See this little turn wheel right here? That's your data sync. I sync my data after every single house I log, just so that we don't lose anything. If your app crashes, your phone crashes, at least we got the data that you already tracked. So those are the biggest things with the MiniVan app. One thing I will say too is if you go into your menu and you go on the left-hand side, there's a little tab called List Details. See if I can't get this to zoom. It'll tell you exactly what you've hit so far, how many doors you've hit so far, percentage of doors hit, how many you have remaining. Okay, so like I have 0% hit. I've still got 65 doors to hit. In an ideal world, by the time you were done, this would say 100%. So if you got 65 doors, that's pretty achievable in a 3-hour span. And the way that you can ensure you get 100% is by logging every single door. That's kind of the down and dirty with the MiniVan app. We are saying sync it often. Make sure you sync at the end of every single shift. Log out when you're done at every single shift. We don't want people holding on to logons. If you had a logon from the last time, you're still going to log out and get a new one each time. We have a set of dummy logins. We'll just log people on every single time. It keeps it clean. It makes sure people don't get booted out halfway through. It's just the best for our data reporting. So that's kind of the down and dirty with the MiniVan app. If you have any questions, you can always contact a shift lead. I know I'm running a little bit long on this video, so I'm going to wrap it up. Again, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to walk so far. We're doing a great job. Like I said, 50 to 60 people in a 3-day span is an achievable goal, and it's a great goal. It's great progress. And honestly, we talked about it today at eBoard. If we could get 50 to 60 people in a 3-day span and 80 people in a 5-day span for the rest of the campaign, we'd be happy. So that's our new goal. 60 people in 3 days, 80 people in 5 days when we start ramping it up in March. And the way that we can keep those numbers is by keeping perspective on what we're trying to do. We got 62 days left, and this could benefit you for the rest of your career. So thank you for your time. Please continue to push others. And if you haven't gotten out so far, again, don't be apprehensive. It's not nearly as bad as people make it out to be. So we have a couple shifts this weekend. We've got Thursday night. We've got Friday morning and Friday evening. We've got Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon. We've got Sunday morning, no Sunday afternoon because of the Super Bowl. So please, if you have some time this weekend, extra 3 hours, the Sign Up Genius link is up on our Facebook page. Please sign up. We're a little bit short of our goal of 50 or 60 this weekend. So if you have some extra time, we'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you again. Bye.